This is a matchup I really am interested in your thoughts on. It is the Shadow Mirror. It's Grix's Shadow on Collin's side versus Brad Carpenter's Jund Shadow.
I believe that Carpenter is favored in this game. Would you like to know why?
Well, is it the Liliana or is it that he just has more everything?
Yes.
So Ranger of Eos going to be his play. Getting more Death Shadows. Gosh, okay, this Death Shadow card, just the real deal.
All right, so if you're wondering exactly what kind of build Rountree is running, this looks to be the 75 I'm currently playing, which is 2 copies off of the list I played at the Classic.
Okay.
So replace the Magma Sprays on the sideboard for Fatal Push. Otherwise, if you open up the Indie Classic, my top 4 list, this is exactly that in the main deck.
All right. So we see Ranger getting some shadows for Brad Carpenter on end step, a Fatal Push for one of the Death Shadows. It's 8 and 11 are life totals. So we start getting into this game where both players have Death Shadows and both players are bright. Like, Collin's behind on life. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It makes it so it's more likely that his Shadow is able to connect in a lethal capacity. He needs to break through this Ranger, and he needs to get this Liliana off the table.
Yeah.
Having a larger shadow generally matters. More commonly, what matters is having more shadows. The advantage on the board generally matters more than the math based on the life totals.
Collin has a question away from table for our judge here. That to me is just the interesting part, right? When like we both have shadows. Yeah, I can't tell who's winning on the life total there avenue.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure exactly how Collin has sideboarded. Lightning Bolt is not a particularly good card in this matchup. So we'll see if there's any left post sideboard.
Is there the ability to use Lightning Bolt in kind of a gotcha way of, hey, Brad, if you pump your Death Shadows, I'm going to suddenly bolt you?
It exists.
I'm going to bolt, like especially because they're a Grixis deck. So it's, you know, it's not just, it's, hey, if Brad goes to 6, I'm going to bolt Snap Bolt, something like that.
Well, the thing about it is that it never kills Tarmogoyf, rarely kills Death Shadow. I guess it sometimes kills these creatures, but just not often enough. And the rest of the deck is not configured in a way to take advantage of Lava Spike.
Looks like we'll be going to a game 3. Collin's picking up his cards there.
Yeah, and he was behind on enough axes. He was likely dead in a couple of turns anyway. He could have made an attack at Liliana the last hope, but he was going to lose to that emblem. Ranger jumps in the way. I assume that Rountree's hand wasn't doing too much.
Or on the other boards, Todd Stevens going into day 2 with a strong record. Locked it up last round at 7-1. He will enter tomorrow at 8-1. 2 9-0 decks squaring off tomorrow. First one, Ad Nauseum, 9-0.
Oh,
Won
wow.
last week, and different pilot this time, but deck definitely showing that it has what it takes to stick around.
Yeah.
It was almost a Ad Nauseum mirror in the 9-0 bracket. There's another one at 8-1, but because we're at the Dallas Open here, the 9-0 bracket really wouldn't be complete without a Burn player going 9-0.
Certainly not.
Gosh, that's a matchup that's really tough for Burn, by the way. Like, they're main decking Unlifes. That's an Angel's Graces. Ugh.
Yeah, a lot of bad news. The deck wins on turn 4 and stops you from killing them before then.
Well, that is our undefeated. Those 2 players, the only 2 at 9-0, they will be playing in round 10 tomorrow morning.
So you're telling me that Ad Nauseum's 10-0 in this tournament?
Well, you play out the games, but I'm happy if I'm the Ad Nauseum player here.
Certainly. Ad Nauseum is a deck that has a fail rate.
Yeah.
It's smaller than a number of the combo decks. You know, we had Pure Steel Paladin earlier in the day.
That deck's so great.
Ad Nauseum doesn't draw that many extra cards and lose games.
Pure Steel wins the award for most cards drawn in a game.
We are still taking registration for tomorrow morning's Modern and Standard Classic events. So if you are planning on coming in the morning, you can save yourself a bit of time and register tonight.
So Rountree will be on the play here for game number 3 between Grixis Shadow and Brad Carpenter, just a Jund Shadow. going to start on Serum Visions. So in this matchup, it's not really, is Grixis the control deck here, or what is Collin trying to get other than finding Death Shadows?
So both decks are just trying to get ahead in terms of the creatures on the battlefield. Life totals are going to go one way or the other. That's just the way things are going to go. Fetch lands, untapped lands, Thoughtseizes, what have you. Both players get low relatively quickly, and both players kind of want to get low.
Okay, so they're going to do, do the kind of foolish shocks where you just shock yourself, play nothing, go.
Yep. Likely leaving fetch lands up on windows when they're not using the mana, but cracking them and taking damage when they do. And then it's just going to be a matter of getting Death Shadows on the table and having Terminate Fatal Push for your opponent's Death Shadow. So for Carpenter, he has some haymakers in the form of Lingering Souls. He has Ranger of Eos, and he wants to make those cards matters. For Rountree, he has Snapcaster Mage, which means he has higher access to Fatal Push.
Inquisition of Kozilek from Brad Carpenter. We'll see the hand on their side. We have Terminate, Mana Leak, Kolagon's Command, Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, and then I believe we have a blue spell up at the top there.
Thought Scour.
We have a Scour.
No second land.
Yeah, now he did Serum Visions last turn, and I believe one of them was put on top, so I'm going to guess that that's a land.
Yes.
You see, Thought Scour is the card taken by Carpenter.
So with that Squire to the top, the assumption that Rountree has a second land, taking Thought Scour was arguably the weakest card in that hand. It looks like Rountree does not have a land, though.
Correction, yeah. And Carpenter will just pass. Is Rountree going to get to play here? Not yet.
Well, this one might be over before it started.
Yeah, certainly in these matchups of fair decks against each other, of non-combo decks, hitting your land drops is just the whole game.
And Rountree does have access to a Fatal Push in his hand, but no black source just yet.
Yeah, it looks like Carpenter's going to go to work with Liliana of the Veil this turn. With his opponent down to just 1 mana, I mean, it's really just Spell Pierce he'd have to worry about.
Liliana and Lingering Souls here are both phenomenal.
Yeah, Liliana of the Veil, the Innistrad Planeswalker, going to tick up. Collin Rountree happily gets rid of a Thoughtseize.
Rountree is looking at naturally discarding anyway.
Yeah, he extends a hand there. With Liliana in play and still no lands in sight, that he's just not going to be able to play.